The world watches as a conflict unfolds, a conflict with global implications. Russia and Ukraine are at war. This is not just a regional dispute. It is a battleground where larger geopolitical forces collide. This war has shattered the fragile peace in Europe. It has sent shockwaves across the globe. The roots of this conflict run deep. They are entangled with history, identity, and the pursuit of power. Understanding this conflict requires looking beyond the headlines. We must examine the motivations of the key players. We must analyze the intricate web of alliances and rivalries. This war is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our world. It highlights the fragility of peace. The outcome of this conflict will shape the geopolitical landscape for generations to come. It is a pivotal moment in history, a moment fraught with danger and uncertainty. In the face of Russian aggression, Western nations have rallied behind Ukraine. This support is not merely an act of charity, it is a strategic calculation driven by a complex interplay of factors. At the forefront is the desire to contain Russian expansionism. Russia's actions are seen as a threat to the international order. The West fears that unchecked aggression could embolden Russia further. This could lead to instability in other regions. Beyond containing Russia, the West also seeks to safeguard its own security interests. Ukraine occupies a strategically important position. It serves as a buffer between Russia and NATO members in Eastern Europe. A Russian-controlled Ukraine would shift the balance of power in the region. This would leave NATO's eastern flank vulnerable. The West's support for Ukraine goes beyond political rhetoric. It has translated into tangible assistance. Military aid, financial support, and humanitarian assistance have been pouring into Ukraine. This aid is crucial for Ukraine's ability to defend itself. It is a testament to the West's commitment to Ukrainian sovereignty and territorial integrity. Beneath Ukraine's fertile plains and rolling hills lies a treasure trove of natural resources. These resources are a key factor in the current conflict. They add another layer of complexity to the geopolitical calculations. Ukraine is endowed with vast reserves of minerals and energy resources. These resources are not just essential for Ukraine's own economic development, they are also of significant interest to global powers. One of Ukraine's most valuable assets is its fertile black soil. It is often referred to as the breadbasket of Europe. Ukraine is a major agricultural producer. It is a key supplier of wheat, corn, and sunflower oil to global markets. The control of these resources gives Ukraine a strategic advantage. It elevates its importance in global food security. Beyond agriculture, Ukraine possesses significant mineral wealth. It has substantial reserves of iron ore, manganese, titanium, and uranium. These minerals are essential for various industries. They range from steel production to aerospace engineering to nuclear energy. The presence of these resources makes Ukraine a strategically important player in global supply chains. Section 4. A shift in power. The US changes course. For years, the United States has been a staunch supporter of Ukraine. However, recent shifts in US foreign policy have raised concerns. The US has signaled a potential shift in its stance on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This has created uncertainty and unease among its allies. The reasons behind this policy shift are complex and multifaceted. They stem from a combination of domestic political considerations and evolving strategic priorities. One factor driving this shift is the desire to recalibrate US foreign policy. The US is aiming to focus more on domestic issues. There is a growing sense within the US that it has been overextended in its global commitments. Some argue that the US needs to prioritize its own interests. They believe this requires reassessing its role in protracted conflicts like the one in Ukraine. Adding to the complexity is the evolving relationship between the US and Russia. While the US remains wary of Russian intentions, there is a recognition that cooperation with Russia is necessary. This is especially true in areas of mutual interest such as arms control and counter-terrorism. This has led to a delicate balancing act. the US is trying to engage with Russia while also supporting Ukraine. This has resulted in a more nuanced and, at times, contradictory US policy. Section 4. A shift in power. The US changes course. For years, the United States has supported Ukraine. Recent shifts in US foreign policy have raised concerns. The US has signaled a potential shift in its stance on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This has created uncertainty among its allies. The reasons behind this shift are complex. They stem from domestic political considerations and strategic priorities. One factor is the desire to recalibrate US foreign policy. The US aims to focus more on domestic issues. There is a growing sense that it has been overextended globally. Some argue that the US needs to prioritize its own interests. They believe this requires reassessing its role in conflicts like Ukraine. Adding to the complexity is the evolving relationship with Russia. While wary of Russian intentions, cooperation is necessary. This is true in areas like arms control and counterterrorism. This has led to a delicate balancing act. The US is trying to engage with Russia while supporting Ukraine. This has resulted in a more nuanced and, at times, contradictory US policy. Section 5. Global tremors, the far-reaching impact. The Russia-Ukraine war is not confined to the battlefields of Eastern Europe. Its shockwaves are reverberating across the globe. They are disrupting global markets, testing alliances, and exacerbating existing crises. This conflict has laid bare the interconnectedness of our world. It has highlighted the ripple effects that conflicts can have on a global scale. One of the most immediate and profound impacts of the war has been on the global energy market. Russia is a major energy producer. It is a key supplier of oil and gas to Europe and other parts of the world. The conflict and the ensuing sanctions have disrupted energy flows. This has led to a surge in energy prices. This has had a cascading effect on economies worldwide. Beyond energy, the war has also disrupted global supply chains. Ukraine and Russia are major producers of raw materials and agricultural products. The conflict has disrupted the production and transportation of these goods. This has led to shortages and price increases across various sectors. From food to fertilizers to semiconductors, the war's impact on global supply chains is being felt worldwide. Section 6. A looming crisis, the human cost of war. Amidst the geopolitical maneuvering, it is crucial to remember the human toll of this conflict. The war in Ukraine is not just a conflict between states, it is a tragedy unfolding on a human level. Millions of lives have been upended. Countless families have been torn apart. The human cost of this war is immeasurable. The most immediate impact is on the civilian population of Ukraine. They are caught in the crossfire. Thousands of innocent civilians have been killed or injured. Homes have been destroyed. Cities lie in ruins. The war has triggered a mass displacement of people. Millions have been internally displaced. They are seeking refuge in safer parts of the country. Millions more have fled across borders. They are seeking asylum in neighboring countries. The war has also had a devastating impact on Ukraine's economy and infrastructure. Key industries have been disrupted. Essential services have been severely affected. The war has set back Ukraine's development by years. It will take a Herculean effort to rebuild the country. The human cost of this war extends beyond Ukraine's borders. The conflict has exacerbated existing humanitarian crises in other parts of the world. It has diverted resources and attention away from other pressing global challenges. Section 7. The uncertain future, navigating a new world order. The Russia-Ukraine war marks a turning point in international relations. It has shattered the post-Cold War order. This has ushered in a period of uncertainty and instability. The world is grappling with the implications of this conflict. It is trying to navigate a new geopolitical landscape, one that is characterized by shifting alliances, renewed great power competition, and the erosion of international norms. The war has exposed the limitations of the existing international security architecture. It has highlighted the need for a more robust and effective system of global governance, one that can prevent and resolve conflicts peacefully. The international community is faced with a choice. It can either come together to address the challenges posed by this conflict, or it can succumb to division and inaction. The outcome of the Russia-Ukraine war will have far-reaching consequences. It will shape the future of Europe. It will determine the nature of the relationship between Russia and the West. It will influence the global balance of power for decades to come. The world is at a crossroads. The path it chooses to take will determine the course of the 21st century.